All right, we're in Algebra 1. We are on lesson 5-4. Today's date is January 14th.
So, Mr. Sundell.
Yeah.
So it doesn't say January 14th up there, so teacher error.
Teacher error, yeah. Log in your extra credit tracker, Andres. I'll give you the XP now. I should get this guy going right now. Class crash. I'll come back and give you that one. Yeah, easy points. Trying to find those teacher errors. All right, so slope-intercept form. This is going to be one of the three forms that we're going to be talking about. This is probably the most famous one that you'll ever learn in Algebra 1. Let's go ahead and talk about this. This is an equation that graphs a line. This whole unit that we're talking about for the next few weeks, we're talking about lines, things that go nice and straight. Eventually, we're going to be talking about how to graph curves. But for now, just lines. So it's an equation that graphs a line, and here it is. So you're copying this down. This is starred because it needs to be in your summary. Y equals, give yourself some space, m times x, so just mx. I'm going to give myself space so I can talk about each of these variables. Mx plus b. Again, this is something that I'm going to be asking you later in the year. What is slope-intercept form? And you will repeat, it is y equals mx plus b. You know slope-intercept form. Let's analyze this thing. All right, so y and x, those are our variables. We don't need to touch those. So you can just say that's a variable, var. Those are always there. They're variables. We don't change them. They're there to let us know, hey, if you plug in an x, this is what happens with y. X is the independent variable. Y depends on whatever you put in for x. I don't really care if you know the difference between independent and dependent, but those are always there. Those don't change. The things that do change are these, the m and the x. Those will change depending on what type of line you're trying to graph. So m. Have we seen this before, by the way? Has anyone seen this before? Nod your head up and down if you see this before. All right, so m is slope. Write slope underneath the m. We know how to find slope. In fact, that's what we just did for our warm-up. You know that if I have a slope of 3/2, then m is 3/2. If I have a slope of 1, m is 1. You just plug in the slope for this variable, m. B, this is going to be the y-intercept. Wherever you intersect the y-axis, and the y-axis again is the up and down. This is the y-axis and this is the x-axis. Wherever you intersect the y-axis, so for example, if I intersect the y-axis down here at -2, then b will be -2. It's wherever you intersect that y-axis. Okay, so let's do example 1. I'm going to complete the equation for a line whose slope is -3 and y-intercept is 0, 2. Again, if I graphed 0, 2, that would be up here. I don't move left and right, but I go up 2. All right, so quiet raised hand. I forgot to pass out participation cards. Cohen, do you think you can help me out? Quiet raised hand, you can get your participation card in and get some points in as well. What should I write for my equation? I know that m is a slope, my y-intercept is b. I'm going to have to keep that x in there as well. What's it going to be? I'm going to wait for at least 4 hands. I see 1 hand, 2 hands, Fernando. Is that a hand? Okay, 1.5 hands. I need at least 4 hands, 3 hands, 1 more hand, 1 more hand. What is the equation? You're using this guy right here. Still only see 3 hands. 1 more person. What is the slope? What is the y-intercept? It's in this problem here. You guys got this? You can scroll down a little bit. We'll give it to Julian.
Y equals -3x plus 0, 2.
0, 2, close. The y-intercept, I'm just looking for one number. Which number do you think you're going to use? 2. Yep, there it is. Good job, Julian. You can turn in your participation card. So there it is, -3x plus 2. Let's log into Classcraft here. All right, so far Julian got XP and Andres got his teacher error. Yeah, so whenever you have a y-intercept, you're only choosing one number. Just one number goes in each of these variables. All right, come on, Classcraft, go. Okay, so let's talk about graphing a line. So whenever I need to graph a line, this is finding the equation, but now if they give you the equation, how do you make that line? This is why we're going to need rulers today, because we're actually going to be making lines with our rulers. So first, graph the y-intercept. So in this case, the y-intercept is 2, so I'd graph 0, comma 2 first. Then I'm going to use the slope to graph the second point. And again, the definition of slope is what? Definition of slope, quiet raised hand. Do you remember the equation for slope? We talked about it for the warm-up. Slope is what over what? Quiet raised hand. Only Cohen knows. Josie knows. Ah, there's more hands. Yeah, Josie.
Delta y over delta.
There it is. Delta y over delta x. Josie, you can turn in your card. Classcraft open. That's lagging behind. I'll remember you guys. Yes, and so if I'm using the slope, this is however much I'm going to the right. The y can be up versus down. So you always are going to move to the right and up or down. Usually you always put the negative in the numerator. You always put the negative in the top if you have a negative. And I'll talk about that again once we start doing some examples on the front and the back. But usually we put the negative on the top. That way we're always going to the right on the bottom. If the bottom is always positive, you're always going to be going to the right. You don't have to do it this way, but it is very useful. All right, so here we go. I have this equation. Y equals negative 2/3 x minus 1, and I want to graph it. All right, you guys are telling me how to do this. You're going to follow these steps. I need someone to do step 1 for me. Classcraft working, still not working. Let me refresh this. Refresh. What do I do first? I need to somehow graph that y-intercept. Tell me how to do that. Only one person knows how to do that. How do I graph the y-intercept? In fact, where is the y-intercept? Is it 2/3? Is it -1? What is the y-intercept? I know it's Monday, but there should be more hands. There's some hands. All right. Fernando, do you still have your card? All right, Fernando, tell me what to do. First of all, what's the y-intercept? Is it 2/3 or is it -1?
-1.
And then how do I graph the y-intercept?
0, comma, -1.
Yep, so I don't go in the x-axis, but I go up in the y-axis. So everyone make a point right here at 0, comma, or sorry, that's +1, my bad. 0, comma, -1. This is the coordinate 0, comma, -1. All right, thank you, Fernando. You can turn in your card. Oh, there we go. Okay, now I can finally come back in here and say, Andres, you got a teacher error. And then we have Fernando, Josie, and Julian. So Fernando, Josie, and Julian have participated. Nice. All right, we're caught up on XB. All right, next, and I'm going to help you do this. I'm going to use the slope to do this. In fact, if anyone wants to take a guess at this, you can get your participation card in and you'll get some XP, even if you get it wrong. How am I going to use 2/3, this slope here, to get to my next point? If I start from this point, which direction do I move from this point? How many to the right? How many up? How many down? Anyone want to take a shot at it? Or, yeah, let's go for it, Cohen.
You go 3 to the right and then 2 points up.
Yeah, say it one more time and louder.
You go 3 to the right and 2 points up.
Yeah, so this bottom number always tells you how many right. So 3 right. And then this number will tell you up or down. If it's negative, you go down. If it's positive, you go up. So 2 up. So from this point, we're all following this too. From this point, I'm going to go 3 right. 1, 2, 3. And I'm going to go 2 up. 1, 2. That's my next point. In geometry, we'll define lines a little bit more formally, but I'll tell you this now. Informally, a line can always be made with 2 points. If I have 2 points, make a line through it. Grab your rulers right now and make a line through these 2 points. So let's see here. Notice that this line technically goes on forever and ever and ever. This line never ends. The way that we say that is we put arrows. We say this line goes forever and ever in that direction and forever and ever in that direction. Let's talk about my note here. This is something that I haven't done before, but I've noticed that in the years past, some people didn't have quite accurate graphs. If you want to be more accurate, repeat step 2 over and over again. For example, from this point, I went 3 right and 2 up. That means if I go from this point, if I go 3 right, 1, 2, 3, and 2 up, 1, 2. It should go through this point. I can do this multiple times to have more than 2 points. You only need 2, but if you want to be more accurate, you can have more points. And you can do the reverse as well. I can go, instead of going 2 up, I can go 2 down, and then 3 left. 1, 2, 3. And it should go through this point as well. Check on your graph right now. Did it go through those points? Graph more points to see if it went through those points. It should have gone through each and every single one of those points. If it didn't go through those points, you might want to regraph the line. You don't have to erase, it's fine. It's just for your notes. And graph a new line on top of it that actually does go through those points. All right. Looks like we're still thinking about it. All right, we're going to do the same procedure again on example 3. So let's flip over to the back. All right. Again, more people are going to participate. I need to graph this thing. Someone do step 1 for me. Thank you, Cohen. I don't know if I did not give you your XP, so I will do that now. All right, tell me step 1. Someone that still has their card. Yeah, Jose.
Graph 3.
Graph 3. Okay, what point do I go to? Do I go 3 there, 3 there? No, that's 2. Do I go 3 there, there, there? 3 in which direction? In the Y direction? Okay, so what is the point, I guess? Is it something, comma, something? 0, 3. That tells me exactly where to go. I don't go in the X direction. I go up here. There's my first point. Everyone make that point as well. Jose, you can turn in your card. Thank you very much. That's my first point. I use this Y-intercept to graph 0, 3. All right. Next step. Who's going to help me graph my next point? Again, if there is a negative, assume that the top number is negative, not the bottom. Assume the bottom number is always positive. Which direction do I go from this Y-intercept? From this Y-intercept, I go 2 directions. Where do I go? Use these numbers. Take a guess. I'm going to have to cold call on someone that has a card if you don't participate. Go for it, Sergio.
You go down 3.
Down 3, you're correct, because this represents up or down, and it's a negative, so I go down 3. So down 3, 1, 2, oh, I got some lag there, 1, 2, 3. Okay, and then what?
Is there a 4 negative?
So if this is negative, then the bottom one is going to be positive. The bottom one is always assumed to be positive.
Right. 4.
Then write 4. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. There's my next point. I have these 2 points. Good job, Sergio. That's correct. You can turn in your card. I have those 2 points. Go ahead and make a line that goes through those 2 points. Grab your ruler. And in order to not get points off, what am I forgetting? Quiet raised hand. If you still have your card, what does this line have that the line up above, or what does this line not have that this line up above does have? To say that, yeah, Monse. The arrows. You need arrows on both sides. Correct, Monse. Go ahead and turn in your participation card. You need arrows on both sides. Don't forget them. Thank you, Monse. Ooh, I don't have you added to class graph. We'll do that later. All right. We're on to example 4. I'll leave that one up there just in case. Example 4. Quiet raise hand. What's my first step? We're doing this over and over again. Yeah, Jennifer.
Graph -4.
All right, -4. Where's -4? I need two things. Something, comma, something.
0, -4.
0, -4. That means 0 in the X direction and -4 in the Y direction. All right. 0, -4 is right there. Thank you, Jennifer. You can turn in your card. All right, next, what do I do? And here's a hint. Everyone do this with me right now. This 2 is a fraction. It's a hidden fraction. The hidden fraction is 2 divided by 1. Whenever you see just a number, assume that it's always a fraction. 2 over 1 is the same thing as 2, so that mathematically works out. All right, now I know which directions to go. There's 2 directions. Someone that still has their card, tell me what direction to go from the y-intercept. From this point, where do I go? Right this many right this many units, up or down this many units? Quiet raised hand. There's only a few cards out, so I might have to cold call on people. Andres, do you still have your card?
Yeah.
All right, you want to go for it?
You go, one right,
1 right, yep, because 1 on the bottom means 1 right. 1 right,
and then
2 up. 1, 2. There it is, Andres. Thank you very much. Go ahead and turn your card. And then 2 up. And then I can do that again to make sure that I'm accurate. I go right 1, and then 2 up. 1, 2. There's another point that I can do. I can do it again. Right 1, up 2. 1, 2. To make another point. You don't have to do these little, I don't know what you call them, but these little loops. You can just graph those points. You don't have to make those. I was doing it so that you could visually see how I was counting. And then make a line that goes through all those points. Again, you only need 2 points, but if you want to be accurate, graph more points. Did I give Andres his? I did. All right, and what's my last step? I'm not done. What's my last step? Quiet raised hand. People that have a card. Gunner. Arrows. You need arrows at the ends of the line to say it goes on forever and ever. It is a never-ending line. Good job, Gunner. And our final example. See if we can get everyone to participate today. What's my first step? Eder, is your hand raised? Yeah, go for it, Eder. Graph 1. What do you mean by 1? What, comma, what? 0 and positive 1. Yep, so 0, nothing in the x direction, and plus 1 in the y direction. Thank you, Eder. You can turn in your card. I think there's only one person left for this next one. All right, are you ready, Jessica?
No.
All right, I'll give you some time to think. So this is how much I go up or down. That top number is up and down, and that bottom number is right. All right.
Graph -3.
So -3 in which direction? So -3 up. So do I go like 1, 2, 3 like that?
No. Like across.
Across. So you have to give me up, down, left, or right. I have to have one of those directions.
Down.
Down, how many?
3.
Down 3. Okay, you're good so far. 1, 2, 3. I've gone down 3. I'm not going to make a point there yet. And then
Across.
across. Is that left or right?
Right.
Right 4. Or right 4 or right 2?
Oh, 2.
Right 2, okay. Right 1, 2. And there's my point. Yeah, good job, Jessica. And there it is. And you can do it again. You can do it in the other direction, or I can go keep going down 3. 1, 2, 3, right 2. There's another point. I can do the opposite. Instead of going right 2 and down 3, I can go up 3, left 2, left 2, up 3, do the opposite to get a point up there. Make sure that the line goes through all of those points. Graph it now. And everyone has their card in. So my final step is to anyone? Sergio? Arrows. Don't forget your arrows. It goes on forever and ever. All right, Jessica and Sergio, you got your XP. Are there any questions about today's lesson? All right, go ahead and write your summaries now.